All of us would have starved had Joseph not read the signs. He foresaw the famine and filled the storehouses, ensuring Egypt's survival. He was a Hebrew, but that meant something different in the old dynasty. They were a tribe of powerful dreamers, friends of Egypt, until your grandfather Pharaoh took the throne. They'd multiplied by then, in great numbers, and become difficult to control. And they did not worship our gods.
So he enslaved them.
Pharaoh acted in wisdom, Moses. He feared an uprising. We all did. One night, a comet burned through the sky. Pharaoh's astrologers predicted the birth of a Hebrew child who would bring destruction to the gods of Egypt. Pharaoh ordered every Hebrew boy born to be sacrificed to the Nile River.
He killed all of them?
I know you don't want to hear these things, but you're of age now, Moses. You should know.
I was born a Hebrew. Why did I survive?
Your mother, Batya, found you in a basket, drifting upon the river. She knew you were a Hebrew, and took you in nonetheless. She believed the gods had sent you to her. Pharaoh could not refuse his own daughter. It is a miracle you survived, Moses. You are the only one.
How could my grandfather allow it?
The gods had spared your life against all odds. He believed that through you, he could access the power of the Hebrew tribe.
Like a weapon?
But that was years ago. Now, you are like a son to him.
The Hebrews are still enslaved. They're still at our mercy, and
You are not one of them. You are prince and protector of this mighty kingdom, chosen by the gods.
Something should be done for them.
Do not be naive. This empire is built on control and dominance. The elites see all, and their grasp is unrelenting. I think that's enough for the day. May I take my leave of you, my lord?
Yes, go.
Moses had been aware of the Hebrew slaves all his life, but he had always seen them only in the background, until now, as they served him in the palace.
Another goblet of wine, my lord.
As they labored in building cities and temples.
Faster, slave. Are the stones too heavy for you? Half rations at day's end!
As they suffered in bondage. Even his dreams were haunted by images and sounds of an entire generation's seemingly endless pain. The Hebrew children of Israel endured crushing harshness at the hands of Egypt, the land Moses adopted. Moses woke, shaken to his core. The pain of his people and the reality of his existence truly hit him.
Oh, my lord?
I'm fine. Leave me.
Moses saw a Hebrew slave struck down by a palace guard.
Stop that! Don't touch her! Let her go!
He's dead!
He was found in the entrance. He had suffered a blow to the skull.
I trust you have made investigations.
Of course, Lord Pharaoh, but the last man he was seen with was Prince Moses.
Where is my grandson?
We haven't seen him since last night.
Find him.
After a long, lonely journey, wandering the wilderness, Moses made his way to King Coconus of Cush in Africa's north. He joined their army, was admired for his courage in battle, and was appointed general. For years, Moses led with bravery and wisdom, and was given the king's daughter, an Ethiopian princess, to wed. But Moses never lived with her or accepted the Ethiopian gods. After some time, he left to continue his wilderness journey. Now the priest of Midian, Jethro, had 7 daughters, and they came to the well to draw water for their father's flock. One day, they returned to camp early.
Oh, how is it you've returned so soon?
That dirty shepherd grabbed Noga.
He pulled a knife on Zipporah, but this Egyptian came out of nowhere and knocked him out and threw him to the ground.
Where is this Egyptian?
I don't know where we left him.
Where you left him? Where is your head, daughter? Go back and fetch him.
Egyptian! You can't leave yet. My father wants to meet the man who saved his daughters.
Forgive me, but who is your father?
Jethro, high priest of the old gods.
Advisor to Pharaoh?
You know Pharaoh? How? Are you that prince?
Was.
What is a lord of Egypt doing in the middle of nowhere?
That's not who I am anymore.
Moses! I'm astonished. The Hebrew prince of Egypt in my tent.
And how do you know my true origins?
I was there when you were first brought to the palace, and I served Pharaoh's court before then. Your existence in the Egyptian palace always bewildered me. It's a miracle they kept you alive, educated you, even loved you. It was the will of the gods that you should live. For what purpose, though?
What do you mean?
Miracles do not happen without a purpose. Have you found yours, Moses?
I don't know. I only know I could remain in Egypt no longer. I learned to fight, the ways of war, but have found no glory in it.
Then you will stay here. I have a large flock to manage, and as you see, many daughters.
Your hospitality is generous, Jethro. I will stay and see what purpose I may serve.
You're a natural.
The forefathers of my people were herdsmen. It's strange to find myself among the flocks after all this time. Zipporah, may I ask you something? About your father?
Of course.
He was a trusted advisor to Pharaoh for years. What drove him away?
He defended the Hebrews once too often. Lost Pharaoh's trust. Distance seemed the safer option.
Turning your back on Pharaoh could warrant death.
So what drove you away?
You really want to know?
Well, I suppose I shouldn't pry.
No, it's all right. I'll tell you. I walked in on an Egyptian striking a Hebrew slave. A woman. I didn't know either of them, but I struck him down. He hit his head and...
You were defending someone who was helpless.
That's not why I ran.
Then why?
I recognized a part of myself in that slave. But then, when I looked at that Egyptian, the face I saw was my own.
Moses.
All the years that I was there, growing up, I knew what was happening to the Hebrews. My own people. And I did nothing.
You were only a child.
Not anymore.
Then why not return?
If I go, it will make it worse for them. Besides, a new pharaoh sits on the throne. I am now nothing to Egypt, but a fugitive.
The years passed, and Moses married Zipporah. He spent his days in the high pastures, his evenings in spiritual discourse with Jethro. And it was during those conversations that Moses discovered his own surprising strength of belief. Over time, Zipporah birthed 2 healthy boys. And though Moses found peace raising his sons and watching the flock, the cries of his people in Egypt still haunted him. Thick clouds darkened the midday skies as Moses and other shepherds led the flock into the hills.
This is where I leave you.
Why? There's perfectly good pasture up there.
It's the mountain of the gods. I'm not going anywhere near that place, and you shouldn't either. Oh, don't say I haven't warned you.
High up in the mountains, Moses entered a cave, strangely illuminated by a glowing light. Before him stood a thorn bush that was aflame, yet not burning. Moses watched the flames in a trance and entered into a deep meditation.
Moses. Moses. The place upon which you stand is holy ground. I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have heard the cries of my people, have seen their suffering. I will free them from bondage and lead them to the land of their ancestors. Go to Pharaoh. Take my children out of Egypt. You ask the impossible. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? He will reject me. You will go to the Levites and say to them, the God of your forefathers has appeared to me with these words. I have surely remembered you and will deliver you to the land I have promised. I am not a man of words. There must be someone else. They need you now, Moses. The destruction of Egypt will herald a new era for mankind. The tribe of Abraham will become a nation, and you will lead them through the wilderness and bring them to a good and spacious land, overflowing with milk and honey. Who shall I say sends me? The God of your fathers, he who was, who is, and who shall ever be. Now take the staff in your hands. Through you, the Creator will reveal great wonders and smite all of Egypt. I am with you, Moses. I will be with you.
Moses! What happened? Are you all right?
You're shaking. Sit down.
No. We have to leave. We'll need provisions.
What are you talking about?
My people have been slaves for hundreds of years. They don't even know what it is to be free. That's why I must go.
Where is this idea coming from?
I have been to God's mountain and communed with his ancient power. I have ignored the suffering of my people too long. I must go to Egypt.
You have my blessing, Moses. Go, save your people.
Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon a donkey, and he returned to the land of Egypt.
We're halfway to Goshen, where my people live.
Come nightfall, we must find shelter.
I can't do this. God has chosen the wrong person. Who am I to face Pharaoh? Who am I to represent those people? They're God.
They're your people. And he's your God.
Zipporah, I have lived so many lives. I was raised under the Egyptian gods. I'm not worthy of this task.
Moses, listen to me. I have given up the gods of my father. Now, I believe in your God. And I believe you were raised as a prince for a purpose. You've been groomed for leadership, for warfare. You know what it is to be free. Only you can save them. Who is that?
I seek Prince Moses of the House of Pharaoh.
Who are you?
I suppose you would know my face. The last time I saw you, you were an infant. I am your brother, Moses. I am Aaron.
How could you be my brother? I've never seen you before.
Moses, I watched the Egyptian princes pluck you from the river while we looked on and prayed. God chose you to deliver us from slavery. That's why you still live, and why you have returned.
It's real. All of it.
I'm taking you to the Levite Council. We don't have much time. Your wife and children should return. They're not safe in Egypt.
He's right. I'll come back for you when this is over.
Husband, remember my words. Remember what I said at the crossroads. God be with you.
You all know of the Hebrew prince of Egypt, delivered by the Creator to the home of Pharaoh. He has returned from the wilderness with a message for our people. Speak, Moses.
I come to you as your humble servant, as one of your own.
One of us. He who has never suffered the slaver's whip. He who was raised in a palace, who never lifted a finger to relieve our oppression.
Listen to the man.
I will be with you. The Lord God has appeared to me. He has not forgotten you, and he will deliver you to the land he has promised. He will stretch forth his hand and smite the Egyptians with his wonders.
Moses speaks the truth.
I sense the presence of God in you, Moses. With Aaron by your side, you will have the support of the Levite Council. You may speak to Pharaoh on our behalf.
Aaron of the Levite Council, my lord, and Prince Moses.
Prince Moses? I should have you killed where you stand. Fortunately, you have caught me in an indulgent mood. Go on, say your piece.
Lord Pharaoh, we come to you on behalf of the Hebrew people with a message from our God.
And what does your God wish to say?
The God of Israel has heard the cries and suffering of his children. He demands you let his people go free.
The Hebrews are idle, therefore they cry. We shall give them something to cry about. Let heavier work be laid upon them, so they shall not regard lying words.
You can't do that.
You dare command a god?
For the sake of your people, for the sake of Egypt, listen to me. The Hebrew God is omnipotent. He will destroy everything. You have to let them go.
I do not know your God, nor will I let the Hebrews go. Did you think you could walk in and interfere with the greatest civilization known to man? You have no power here, Moses. Tell your God to do his worst.
Moses and Aaron went to the Nile, where Pharaoh sat upon a boat, just off the shores.
Pharaoh, you have ignored our pleas. You will be the cause of Egypt's suffering. God will strike down upon you, and the great house of Pharaoh shall crumble. Your name will be forgotten, and your empire destroyed.
Moses struck the Nile with his staff, and blood rippled out into the waters, spreading like veins through the river.
Ha! A cheap trick, Moses. Your god has no real power here.
But the trick was not cheap. For 7 days, the Nile, the Egyptian source of life, was poisoned. A plague of frogs swarmed the houses, the ovens, and the storehouses. Lice filled the land and attacked man and beast. Wild beasts appeared from the wilderness and roamed the streets, attacking the Egyptians and devastating the land. The cattle, divine to the Egyptians, were struck down next, and the fields were strewn with corpses. Disease ran rampant, and the Egyptians broke out into painful boils, scarring the bodies they had once worshipped. Flaming hail fell from the skies, destroying the temples and palaces. Lightning struck the ground, and the cities burned. Man and animal alike fell in the destruction. The trees destroyed, the towns devastated. Locusts swarmed the harvest, devouring all the grain. Pharaoh's heart remained closed. He would not let the Hebrews go free. And so a thick and oppressive darkness fell upon Egypt. For 3 days the people hid in fear. When the darkness lifted, Moses prepared the Hebrews for the final plague.
The worst is yet to come. There will be a great cry throughout all Egypt as the angel of death moves across the land. We must protect our children. Each of you, sacrifice a lamb and paint the doorways of your homes with its blood. A reminder to stay inside as the plague takes hold. This evil will pass over your houses, and you will be saved.
It was midnight when the angel of death struck every firstborn son of Egypt, from the peasants to the nobles to the firstborn son of Pharaoh. In every house, there was death.
I wished you would have listened. I never wanted any of this. This was my home.
Then why did you destroy it? You were meant to be a prince, a protector of our kingdom. Take your people and get out.
The Israelites gathered at daybreak, and as one, they moved through the ruins of Egypt.
Please, take my jewels and this gold. Offer it to your God. Pray for us.
Let us follow you. There is nothing here for us. We are as good as dead.
The Israelite women left Egypt bejeweled with the riches of their oppressors. After hundreds of years of slavery, they were finally liberated. Moses led his people on a 3-day journey to the Red Sea. But Pharaoh's pride could not be stifled, and he pursued them with the remnants of his army. With the heaving waves of the sea before them, and Pharaoh's army behind them, the Israelites had no escape.
We're trapped!
Don't be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see what God will do to save us. You will see the Egyptians for the last time this day.
Moses extended his hand over the sea and struck the water with his staff. Nothing happened. The chariots drew closer. Panic rose among the Israelites, but one man strode calmly into the rough waters. The Israelites watched in awe as he was submerged. The Creator had caused a great prevailing eastern wind to draw the water back, revealing a dry path that extended to the opposite bank.
Hurry, my people! Make haste! Cross!
The Israelites crossed the miraculous path, walking between towering walls of water. The wind died and the dust settled. The Egyptian army chased them across the exposed, vast span. As the final Israelites exited the span between the waves collapsed, engulfing the Egyptian warriors in the violent torrent. Only Pharaoh survived, to live out his life in tortured anguish, his godly status destroyed, his empire in ruins. Moses led his people to the mountain of God. Jethro, Zipporah, and his sons came to meet him, and Moses was finally reunited with his family. The Israelites purified themselves, following Moses toward a new life, free from the shackles of slavery. They camped below the mountain and prepared for their spiritual transformation. Then, Moses ascended the mountain alone, for it was a sacred place of immense power. The Israelites saw the lightning and heard the thunder, where God's presence was overpowering. After 40 days of meditation, Moses brought down the 10 Commandments, written by God on stone tablets. He descended the mountain and was greeted by a shocking sight. In his absence, rebels had forced Aaron to melt their gold into a fire, where it had transformed into an opposing god, a golden calf, worshipped by a rousing mass. Moses looked down at the tablets in his hand, the written word of God. His people were not yet ready to accept the full glory of the Creator. Setting aside his ideal, he threw the tablets to the ground. They shattered into pieces. Moses put a stop to the idol worship and ascended the mountain once more. He repented for his people and inscribed a new set of tablets. These tablets would become the foundation of Jewish belief, sealing the people's covenant with the Creator and transforming the Hebrew tribes into a great and mighty nation. Moses led them on journeys through the desert for 40 years. Guided by Jethro, he formed a justice system and directed the construction of a portable temple, the tabernacle. Within the tabernacle lay the Holy Ark of the Covenant, a golden casing for the sacred tablets Moses had brought down from the mountain. He appointed Aaron as high priest, and together they prepared the Hebrew people to enter Canaan to reclaim the land of their forefathers.